And just like that, we're good to go. So, Helena, thank you for coming on. I've been looking at your stuff online, and aside from the amount of content you put out, that which is amazing, you're a savage. Just so it says you're a brown belt at 15. You have multiple world titles, and now you're training with Gordon Ryan and John Donaher. Is that correct?
Yes, so I'm actually a blue belt.
Oh,
And
okay.
yes, I just moved to Texas and I'm now training with Gordon Ryan and John Danaher under New Wave Jiu Jitsu.
Hold up. How's that going so far? Training with that caliber of athlete.
Yeah, it's amazing. Gordon and Mr. Danaher are really nice and welcoming, and yeah, I just love the training there.
Yeah. So I'm kind of curious. I only have one question about Donaher because I know most of this is about you. Um, is he always that analytical? Like every video I've seen of him, and I've seen him at a couple tournaments, it seems like he's just sitting there studying and like he's got like a notebook in his head or something, and then it's just like a general. He just gives people direction and on how to fix stuff. Is that pretty accurate how he always is, or does he chill out a little bit and crack some jokes?
He is very like fun to be around, but when it is time for training, he's very focused on the technique and very smart about how he shows things. So yeah,
Yeah.
it,
Yeah, no, you're definitely set up for success where you're at right now. So it's amazing to see, great new talent such as yourself kind of taking that leap and that next step forward and progressing their career. So what exactly was your career like before you moved to Texas and New Wave and you got into this whole craziness? Kind of where did you originally come from, or like were you raised, I guess, not come from, but where were you born, and kind of just give like a little background if you don't mind.
yeah. So I was born in Las Vegas, Nevada. I've been living there ever since I was born. So yeah, until right now, I'm just moved 2 weeks ago, but ever since then, yeah, I've been living in Las Vegas and yeah, I trained at a couple different gyms before. I started jiu-jitsu when I was 8 years old, and that was in 2015. And ever since then, I just loved it so much, and I never stopped.
Yeah. Do you prefer the no-gi? Because I've seen some pictures of you and like some tournaments of you competing in the gi. Is that something you just kind of have in your pocket, or do you have a favorite?
Yeah, so I like no-gi more, but I do train and compete in the gi, pretty much whatever is available at a tournament. So yeah, if the super fight, for instance, invites me, I'll do gi or no gi, whichever is available.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's insane because I know a lot of guys in my gym that have competed and like won some belts, but they're in their late 20s. You know what I mean? Like you're 15, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, you're 15 and you've basically set the platform for you to be the best in the world, coming up. It's what it looks like from my vantage point.
Thank
Um,
you.
so what is your life like outside of the mats? Like growing up in Vegas, and obviously you weren't living the traditional childhood, if you started jiu-jitsu very young and then obviously started competing and getting better and everything. So what was your childhood kind of like?
Yeah, so I'm an only child, and outside of jujitsu, I've always been doing homeschooling ever since kindergarten. So that pretty much helped me have more free time. You know, except other than going to school all day, I do homeschooling like a couple hours, and then I have free time the rest of the day. But ever since I was 3 years old, I was always in sports. My parents would put me in kaju kembo, ballroom dancing, swimming, gymnastics, to try all those sports. But until I was 8 years old, I didn't find anything that I liked as much as jujitsu.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu is a different monster. I've played multiple sports, gotten heavy into bodybuilding, lifting, Muay Thai, boxing, everything, but jiu-jitsu is one of those things to where you can't escape the pain. There's no light rolling really, it's gonna hurt. So I mean, being 15, that's obviously playing into your pocket, that it's you can recover a little bit better. Do you have like a regiment outside of training for recovery? Because you're rolling with Gordon Ryan, the dude's smashing your face into the mat. Like, you got to be going through some pains every now and then.
Yeah, so I usually stretch before every training, 5 minutes before class, just, regular stretching just to keep up my flexibility. And then in between trainings, I make sure to eat regularly, eggs, meat, rice, and vegetables so I can, keep my energy up and just like rest in between. Don't use a lot of energy because I do train twice a day. So
Are you doing like, so at my gym we have like a beginner class and then like an advanced class, so it's traditionally 2 hours. Is that similar to how you guys do it, or what is your setup like as far as like your training times and everything?
yeah, so it is twice a day, the trainings, and the trainings are pro only, and it's a private facility. So whoever, gets invited gets to train there. Um, but yeah, it's 2 times a day, and the trainings are very hard and always intense.
Now, how do your parents kind of help support this? Obviously, they're very supportive if you were able to move from Vegas to Texas. But what are they thinking about your career? And, obviously, I'm not the only guy with a podcast asking for your attention. Like, as you kind of go throughout the ranks, you're getting more and more media exposure. Is that something that your family's brought up at all?
Yeah, they support me a lot. They either my mom or my dad or both of them, they drive me to training every day. And whenever I want to compete at a tournament, they always travel with me, to different states, and they always support me very much.
Yeah. So aside from you being, pretty fairly young, um, what are your plans for your career moving forward?
Yeah, so I'd like to open my own gym in the future, and also continue doing more seminars. I just started with seminars last year in March, and that's been going pretty well. So I'd like to do more of those, and I'd like to also do more instructionals with BJJ Fanatics. I currently have 4 instructionals, and one is coming up soon.
Yeah, I saw that. You have a link tree link on your Instagram, and so I was going through and I saw all your instructional videos and all your seminars that you're doing. Is it just you that's setting these up, or do you have like a team behind you that kind of helps set all these up?
So technique wise, I put like the techniques together that I like to do, and I teach like a set of techniques, whether it's a set of passes or uh, either like a way from starting from standing to getting to the ground and then sweeping into a submission. I always kind of make a series of techniques to go through those. Um, but yeah, it's mostly me preparing the seminar.
Yeah, no, that's cool as shit. That's awesome. Um,
Thank you.
have you found that you've had any like pushback or like resistance, I guess would be the more proper term to use, from other competitors with you being younger and a female?
So I usually go up to the adults division because I don't have very much competitors that are my age and my weight and belt in teens. So that's why I usually go up to blue, purple, brown belts, and even black sometimes. And I can go up in weight, whoever accepts the match.
Wait, you're competing against adult black belts.
Yes, I have twice by now.
That is impressive as shit. That's awesome. I don't even try to roll with black belts, and I'm like one of the bigger dudes in the gym. I mean, I have to, but like I just get tossed around like I'm not even there. But no, that's really cool. Have you? I guess like I kind of want to get away from the age because it seems like you are very mature for a 15-year-old and that you have your life kind of together. You know exactly what you're going for. You have goals and everything. Do you have any major distractions that have came into your life that are kind of like that you have any struggles with, that want to take over for training or, boyfriends or any other hobbies or anything like that? Has anything really crept in to try to get in between you and the mats?
Not really. I like to stay focused on my jujitsu. I have school here and there, and sometimes that gets me busy when it's school season. But other than that, I always try to stay focused and go to training as often as possible. No matter if I lose at a tournament or no matter what happens, I just try to stay and come back to training every day.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have a plan for kind of what you plan on doing past like 18 as far as like your career goes and where you're going to be training at and everything? Or are you just kind of flying by the seat of your pants at this point?
Um, I'm just going like 1 year at a time, but for now, yeah, I'm training with New Wave, and I like it there for now. So, that's pretty much I go 1 year at a time,
Yeah.
how I feel. So, but after I turn 18, I'd like to do some of the better tournaments or higher ranked like IBJJF, black belt, worlds, and professional super fights and things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
ADCC.
Do you have a preferred rule set that you like to compete in? 'Cause I've heard you say a few of them, except for EBI. I think is the only one that I haven't really seen anything with on your Instagram. Have you competed in EBI, or do you have anything against the EBI rule set?
Um, I don't have anything against it. I've just never gotten the chance to compete at the tournament. Um, I go wherever it's possible for me. Uh, like I like doing fight to wins for super fights. I like the ADCC rule set. It's a little different because of the wrestling requirement on the overtime. Uh, but I like fight to win rule set with submission only, no points. And then the IBJJF rule set is fine too, with points and advantages. It's all different, so I like all of them.
Yeah, I don't mean this in any way offensively, so please do not take it that way. But I cannot help but it feels like you're the perfect marriage between Danaher and Ryan of like, like this the technician, like you plan things out but not too far ahead, but you like to really go for it. Is that something you would kind of say is pretty true?
Uh, you know, I I just met them, and they're really helpful and all, and I just like training with them, so it's really good.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So outside, I guess I'm trying to figure out exactly where to take this because you've done so much in such a little time in the sport of jiu-jitsu that, and I say the Gordon thing not so much to continuously bring him up, but the amount of change that he's been able to bring to the sport, it seems like that's kind of like something that you have the ability to do as well. So that's kind of where the reference is coming from because you're very young, and you're taking out black belts, like you can see it on the wall, like you're a badass. So I mean, that's not really called into question ever, but how many times are you looking to compete this coming year? Is that something, are you wanting to get more like technical, or are you wanting to compete more?
I always like to compete and train, throughout the year. I don't have an exact number, but every year I feel like I compete more and more. Like last year I had a total of 60 fights in competition. But this year, wherever I get the chance to compete, I'd love to, and I'm always up for it.
Yeah. So one thing with competing is I'm actually a combat nutritionist, so I work with a lot of fighters, and with jiu-jitsu, I know most guys don't really like to cut weight. So are you kind of hovering around your fight weight? Is that something that you gotta keep in check, or are you just going like what your natural weight is and just kind of adjust it a day or two out?
So I walk around 140, 145, and that's usually what I compete at. I don't really like cutting weight. I'd rather go up like 10, 15 pounds than, have to lose weight in order to get into a certain division. So I usually compete 145, and if I don't have anyone there, I'll go up to 155 or 160.
Man, you are like a coach's dream, you know that? Like the amount of fighters that I know that bitch and complain about their weight and having to cut weight. Like I know guys that walk around at 55 and yet they'll still fight down at 35 instead of at their weight because they're afraid of everybody being bigger than them. To where it seems like you're running towards that, like you want that competition, you want that struggle. Is that kind of a philosophy that you carry outside of the mats and in life and just your personal everyday?
Yeah, I'm fine with, competing with anyone that's, heavier than me, because it's all a learning experience, and I like to learn from everyone, so I'm really fine with it.
Yeah. So outside of technique, what would you say the biggest thing that the sport has given you?
Um, it's given me a lot of confidence, because, I was shy when I was little, but after training jujitsu a couple years, it helped me get more confident and want to talk more and, be more sociable.
Yeah. Yeah. So I actually have my aunt and uncle, all of their kids, my cousins, but they were all homeschooled. And so we've actually been able to like sit down now that they've gotten a little bit older and just have some like conversations, about like because they grew up homeschooled and Catholic, so it's a very strict environment, and they kind of feel like they missed out by being homeschooled. A couple of them do. They have 7 kids, so it's a pretty big family. But a couple of them feel like they definitely missed out on some like social aspects of going to like a public or even a private school. Is that something that you kind of share the same sentiment with, or do you kind of like the way that you're going through your schooling process?
Well, not really. Since I was doing sports since I was 3. That was like before I even started school. So I'd always be, able to socialize with the kids at the sport and, make friends there. So it didn't really matter to me that I was doing online school. It even felt more convenient and I like it more.
Do you feel like so I have no personal experience with homeschooling. I've just always been curious if it's the the criteria. It seems like everybody that I've known that's done homeschooling, they say that it's too easy and that it only takes, like a little bit of the time compared to 8 hours of going to a public school. Is that something that you kind of align with and took advantage of to get that second training session in, or do you feel like it's still pretty complicated?
It depends, when you go up in the grades, it gets a little harder, but I feel like it's okay. It gives me more time to, train. And yeah, I'm okay with it being, 2, 3 hours long a day.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. All right. Well, I know I said I wasn't going to keep you on here too long, so I'll get you out of here in the next couple of minutes. Just kind of want to stretch out a couple more things that I've been curious about because it seems like you fought a lot. You fought I had her on the show a couple months ago. Liz Clay, I believe.
Yeah.
And so it seems like you're embedded, in the sport. Like you are one of the core athletes of jiu-jitsu. Do you feel like you hold some sort of responsibility with that?
Um, I like to compete. Like, I don't put pressure on myself in that way. I just make sure to try my best at all my competitions, and it's great. The amount of people that come to say hi at tournaments and recognize me. I just love that a lot.
Yeah. What would you tell people that do come up to you that may not know anything, about you or that are just becoming, you know, accustomed to who you are? Is there anything that you would like them to know that they don't already know? I know it's pretty vague, but you never know what's going to come out of that question.
Yeah, I mean, uh, you know, I love to train, and I like to compete whenever. And outside of jujitsu, I love animals. I actually have 4 pets, and
What are your pets?
I have 2 cats and 2 parrots.
Two parrots. That's a new
Yes.
one. Those are I know nothing about birds. They don't talk, do they?
One of them talks more than the other one, but one of them flies too.
So you just have an argument with one bird while the other one's flying around your head, pretty much.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I just have one more question for you, and then I can get you out of here. I know it's pretty late, and you've already trained a couple times, and we've been talking for quite a while about getting this together. So I want to take this time out to thank you for coming on my little show and showing some love and appreciation. What are your goals for this year? Because you said that you kind of only take a year at a time. So what do you have kind of on your plate for this year so far? Are you still building your schedule?
For now, I know that IBJJF Pans is coming up, and it's my first year as a juvenile. So I'd like to do all both gi pants and no gi pants, and then gi worlds and no gi worlds in the juvenile division. And then I'd like to do more fight to win super fights, and maybe ADCC trials, and whatever else comes up.
The ADCC trials, yeah, that just happened not too long ago. It was out west, I believe. And so this is the year that you really think you're going to be able to get into those and make a change. That's awesome as hell. Well, I definitely look forward to keeping up with you and seeing where things go. Why don't you just take a minute to kind of say or bleh, kind of share your social media and let everybody know where they can find you so they can kind of come up to you and chat with you at tournaments and stuff, or maybe even pick up an instructional because you have 3 or 4 of those, right?
Yes, I have 4 instructionals. My Instagram is at Helena Jiu Jitsu Girl. I also have one more instructional that's coming soon. I just finished the filming about a month ago, so it's gonna come out anytime, I believe, this month. So, yeah, and the rest that are already available are at bggfanatics.com.
Nice. And then I know IBG or they have the Fanatics site. They have a YouTube page, and so they have a lot of stuff that goes up on there as well. Are you going to be in any of those coming up?
Yes, I believe that they already have some free clips of my instructionals on YouTube.
Oh, cool. All right. Yeah, I will I'll track those down and I'll put it below this so that way everybody can kind of get an idea of it is exactly what you do and the instructionals because instructionals for me it's kind of like I know going to class and learning a new technique, I'll remember it for that entire time that I'm there. Then I leave, and it's almost like it just kind of disappears. So instructionals are really good to have as like a backup book, something to kind of keep it fresh and to learn new techniques that you wouldn't traditionally learn at your home gym. So it's awesome that
Yeah.
you're doing that. You're not just doing it for yourself, you're doing it for the sport, and you're trying to consistently push the thing forward, which is amazing. You're only 15, you're only a blue belt, and I'm extremely excited to see where your career takes you. So, again, thank you for coming on here. And yeah, I think that's it. That's all I got. I just seriously thank you for coming on. I really appreciated your time. And yeah, it's been nice meeting you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. So, all right. Well, that's it for today, guys. Helena, thanks again. Can't thank you enough. And go check her out on Instagram, YouTube, and pick up an instructional. So
Thank
that's it,
you.
guys. Thank you. Have a good one.